Today's movie Deseo weaves together 8 small love affairs, each subtly connected to the other. At the beginning of the film, we see a city bus filled with passengers, each heading toward their destination. Among them is Jovan, a young man who gazes out the window and notices a girl running frantically, pursued by a group of thugs. Concerned, Jovan rushes to help her, but before he can intervene, the girl single-handedly fends off her attackers. Introducing herself as Senora, she notices Jovan's captain's uniform and is instantly intrigued. Flirting shamelessly, she begins to speak suggestively, which flusters Jovan. Senora seduces him, teasing that if he lets her board his ferry, she'll let him swim for free. Jovan initially dismisses her as eccentric and ignores her advances, walking back toward the bus. But Senora persists, taunting him with playful insults that ignite his desire. Unable to resist any longer, Jovan chases after her, and the two end up in a secluded hut, where their passion reaches its peak. After their intimate encounter, Jovan prepares to leave. Senora wishes to accompany him, but he gently refuses, explaining that he must visit his sick sister. Before departing, he hands her his dog tag, a small token that fills Senora with unexpected joy. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Mary, a maid who shares a deep attachment to her master. Though she harbors feelings for him, she keeps them to herself, subtly trying to win his attention. One day, Jovan arrives to visit Mary, revealing that she is actually his sister. It's been 3 years since they last saw each other, and he has come to check on her. Before leaving, he hands her an envelope, asking her to deliver it to their mother. Noticing that Jovan is leaving without even stopping for tea or water, Mary insists that he stay a little longer. They sit together in a nearby park, sharing a cigarette under the open sky. As they relax, Jovan, caught in the moment, tries to flirt playfully with Mary. However, she firmly refuses, making it clear that she is uncomfortable. Jovan stays persistent and does not back off. An awkward heat lingers between them. Mary, unsettled by the encounter, expresses her concern, but finally surrenders to little Jovan. After finishing the job, Mary is overcome with guilt. She warns Jovan that if anyone discovers what happened, the consequences will be severe. However, Jovan had no involvement in any of it. Unbothered, he simply prepares for the second round with Mary. In the next scene, we see Mary's master, David, closely following a woman named Patricia. He trails her everywhere. Church, the market, the coffee shop, never letting her out of his sight. After a long day of shadowing her, David returns home exhausted and heads straight for a bath. Meanwhile, as Mary tidies up the house, she stumbles upon a few old photos of David with a mysterious woman. Curious, she slips one into her pocket. David had a habit of drinking orange juice right after his bath, but today, Mary was nowhere to be seen, so he gets up to fetch it himself. As he steps into the kitchen, he finds his grandmother busy preparing for an afternoon party with her partner. The party was a grand affair, attended by many notable guests. Among them was Patricia, who had arrived with her husband, Joseph. Blending into the crowd, David discreetly snapped photos of Patricia with his modest 2-megapixel camera. Seeing David's behavior, Joseph finds it unsettling. One day, when Mary goes to David's room to bring him juice, he suddenly asks, "Are you wearing any lingerie?" Mary freezes, stunned by the question. She quickly gets up, her heart pounding. David smirks and says, "I know everything." David smirks and says, "You've always been secretly watching me. Today, I can show you exactly what you've been trying to peek at." With that, he drops his towel in front of Mary. Her eyes widen, and she swallows hard, unable to look away. David notices her reaction and smirks knowingly. "I see what you want," he says. He tells Mary to bring some oil. As she massages it onto his skin, the tension between them intensifies, until David takes full pleasure in the moment with her. One day, David was tailing Patricia in his car as she made her way through her neighborhood. She didn't want anyone to notice him following her, so, despite her hesitation, she slipped into his car. David drove her to his old mansion, where they drank and gambled late into the night. Between sips, Patricia leaned in and asked, "Now, tell me, why were you following me?" David looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Because I love you. Talking to you is the biggest fantasy of my life." Patricia burst into laughter, just as her phone rang. It was an unknown number. Without missing a beat, David grabbed her phone and swiftly disabled the GPS. "Keep it off," he warned, "unless you want your husband tracking you here." But Patricia's laughter only grew. "So, have you been thinking about me every day and driving a handcart?" she teased. David smirked. "Yes. Since I was 9 years old, I've been thinking about you and driving that handcart." He exhaled, his gaze fixed on her. "And I still can't believe you're sitting right in front of me." Patricia smirks and says, "Even I can't believe I'm sitting here, listening to you." David leans in, his eyes locked on hers. "Tell me about your sex life." Patricia shrugs. "Everything's fine." David chuckles. Don't lie. I know your old husband isn't strong enough. Patricia raises an eyebrow. Oh, and what about you? David grins. Wait, I'll show you. With that, the two give in to their desires, losing themselves in the moment. Time slips away unnoticed, and before they realize it, night has fallen. Patricia hurriedly starts looking for her panties, but they're nowhere to be found. David smirks and leans back. Relax. It's here somewhere. If I find it, I'll be sure to courier it to your house. Patricia scoffs and says, there's no need for that, and don't follow me anymore. If my husband finds out, he'll shoot you. David smirks but says nothing as she hurriedly gathers herself and leaves. When Patricia returns home, her husband, Joseph, is already waiting for her. His eyes narrow as he asks, why did you turn off your phone's GPS? Patricia quickly lies. My battery died. Joseph isn't fully convinced. A flicker of doubt crosses his face, but he chooses not to press the matter further. Instead, he pulls Patricia close and begins playing with her, letting his suspicions drift away, for now. The next day, Joseph goes to pick up Mary's sister, Paula, from college. Paula had been working part-time at Joseph's restaurant, and during that time, an undeniable tension had grown between them. She gets into Joseph's car, and instead of taking her home, he drives her to the grand opening ceremony of his new 10-star restaurant. In a private room away from the crowd, Joseph pulls Paula close, and soon the two indulge in their desires. Afterward, Joseph hands her a wad of cash. Book yourself an Uber home, he says with a smirk. Before she leaves, Joseph introduces Paula to a famous actress, Josie, who had been looking for a personal companion, someone to always stay by her side. Intrigued, Josie takes Paula with her to her lavish home, spoiling her with extravagant shopping trips. Paula's life transforms overnight, but as she watches Josie's housemaid go about her duties, memories of her own past resurface, when she too used to work in someone's home. That evening, Josie takes Paula to an exclusive club. The atmosphere is electric, with people disappearing into dark corners, lost in their own worlds. Paula drinks more than she can handle. Her head spins, her body sways, and before she knows it, she rushes to the side, vomiting. Seeing Paula in that state, Josie quickly takes her home. As the night unfolds, it becomes clear. Josie is a lesbian, and at her request, Joseph had arranged for Paula to be with her. Paula wasn't comfortable with any of it, but before she could protest, Josie playfully pulled her into the pool, splashing water over her. The warm water, the moonlight reflecting off the surface, and Josie's lingering touch created an atmosphere Paula couldn't easily escape. One thing led to another, and soon the night took a sensual turn between them. Although Paula found herself enjoying the time spent with Josie, she started feeling increasingly uncomfortable with the way Josie was treating her, like a boyfriend rather than a companion. Noticing Paula's discomfort, Josie looks at her and says, if you want to go home, then go, but don't come back here again. This put Paula in a difficult position. While she appreciated the attention, she wasn't ready to embrace that lifestyle. She didn't want to become involved in a relationship with Josie, especially not a lesbian one. With a heavy heart, Paula decided to break things off. I can't do this, she said. It's over. Josie, though disappointed, didn't argue. She drove Paula back to her home, silently watching as Paula made her decision. As they approached Paula's house, they came across Senora, who was standing outside. Senora is the same girl we saw earlier, escaping from thugs. This time, too, she was on the run, with a group of men chasing her through the dark streets. Desperate, she spotted Josie's car and immediately jumped in. Without hesitation, Josie pressed the accelerator and sped away, leaving the thugs behind. Cut to the next scene. It's clear that the two had spent the night together. By the time Senora began to stir awake, Josie had already slipped out of bed, quietly leaving a stack of money beside her before sneaking away. But just as Josie was about to leave, Senora appeared behind her. She picked up the money and handed it back with a smirk. I enjoyed last night with you, she said, and if anything, I should be the one paying you. But unfortunately, I don't have any money. Josie wanted Senora to stay with her, to take her away from everything, but Senora refused. She was still waiting for Joven, the man who had given her his dog tag before parting ways. And then, just as if fate had planned it, Joven appeared, holding flowers in his hand. Senora's face lit up with pure joy. Without hesitation, she rushed to him, agreeing instantly to go with him. Josie watched in silence, her heart sinking. She had worked so hard to convince Senora to stay with her, to choose her. But in the end, it wasn't enough. Still, seeing Senora's happiness, Josie forced a smile. Go, she said softly. Be with him. With that, she let her go. As Senora walked away with Joven, Josie stood there, unable to hide the sadness on her face. And as the sun set on this emotional day, we understood. Josie had lost something she didn't even realize she truly wanted. With this, the story of this film comes to an end. The story of this movie leaves us grappling with the complexities of desire, betrayal, and self-discovery. As the characters navigate their relationships, their choices reveal the deep emotional consequences of their actions. In the end, the film serves as a poignant reminder that the pursuit of happiness often comes at a cost, one that may be more than we're willing to pay.